time for us to support some stackers who said, you know what? We better call Saul-Sehy and OG. This is where we pick OG's brain about some of the questions that you guys have. And you know what? I actually want to do something fun today. Today, we're going to do a little thing we call questions nobody asked us. We have a couple of questions that I found in other forums, other financial forums that I'm like, really? People are talking about this stuff. So let's go to one. I'm going to leave the names of these forums nameless, but here's one. Somebody asks in another forum, does anyone else in here grind out driving for DoorDash for extra money? Been doing it for a couple of weeks, and so far it's not too bad for some extra vacation money. OG, what do you think about these side hustles about driving DoorDash, Uber, Lyft?
Well, I think there's plenty of people who have been successful doing it. I think that there's a lot of unseen costs that happen that you have to consider as you're doing the math on whether or not it's worth it. And really the biggest one is the wear and tear on your vehicle, the potential extra increase in insurance costs. Insurance costs.
Thank you.
Sounds so horrible to say it that way. Because you need to disclose that to your insurance carrier to make sure that the insurance is properly insured on your vehicle. Insured. I keep doing it and keep going.
Oh yeah. Oh, the hairs, all the hairs are standing up on end right
now. So I think when it comes to the money, we look at the dollars and go, oh, I can make an extra $200 a week. That'd be great. I knew a guy who was a realtor who drove Uber just to and from the airport on Friday nights and Saturday mornings and said, I'm going to do it all night. All the late night flights that come in Friday and all the early morning flights that leave families on Saturday until I make $1,000. I start at 9:00 at night. And that was his side hustle of, I'm working all night, basically pulling an all nighter. And sometimes he was done by midnight or 1 a.m. just depended on the volume, but there's a lot of extra unseen costs there that you have to recognize.
I love thinking about that because between fuel cost, auto wear and tear, all the stuff that you talked about, even those airports you talk about, OG, they will impose a fee on the Uber driver coming in and out of the airport, which adds to their cost. The issue that I have is that I think you definitely want to make this short term either way, because these companies have already said that they're trying to get rid of you as they invest heavily in automation to get rid of you. So the game is going to change. And when I talk to long-term Uber and DoorDash drivers, they say the game already has changed. Like as they encounter more and more people that don't do that anything more than back of the envelope math, that these companies also take more for them. So you truly have to. When I talk to people that have done a great job and made good money at this, they know exactly, to your point, OG, the exact hours to drive, the exact routes to drive, the end customer that they're looking for as they accept or deny if the platform they're working on will let them do that. Rides, whether it's for a meal, for goods, or for passengers. These people really have it down to a science, but they also know the game's going to change in the future. It's not your game. Yeah. It's somebody else's playing field you're playing on. And once you get the math down, they will find a way to change that game as it fits them. But heck, if you're getting out of debt, don't go start a website. Like, don't go start a big time company. Just go pick up some extra money. And that's easier than ever before. I got a couple extra $1,000 of credit card debt. Let's go blast that out by driving Uber.
Not a bad idea.
But bigger, I think there's a bigger thing here, OG, which is, this person is talking about making some extra vacation money. If I'm looking at extra vacation money, is there a bigger lens here, like thinking about how do I just make it so I don't need to make some extra vacation money? Are there maybe longer term or passive income opportunities or ways to increase my income elsewhere so that I just don't have to drive DoorDash at all?
Well, do you know the number one way to increase your income is to change companies within your industry. And people are so hesitant to do that because of all the baggage that goes with that. And sometimes there is some pretty nasty baggage that you got to be aware of. But study after study shows that, I would rather pay somebody who's well qualified than bring somebody on and try to train them up to that qualification. And the second part of it is then when you have that change, you are getting right sized in your income based on your role and years of experience and kind of career where you're at. And then you stay at the company and we just all accept these 3 to 4% cost of living raises every year, when in reality, that role, could potentially have a higher salary kind of component to it, or higher total compensation component to it, because of external factors that you're not participating in. The new person that got hired just got stock options. You've never had those before, or they got a higher salary because that's the going rate for that role. And frankly, companies just have no interest in going back to, most of the time, have no interest going back to their employees and going, hey, guess what? The market says that you 10 people all should get, $20,000 pay raises this year to even you out with the market. They'd just rather keep you, and give you a nice 3 to 4% raise, a little bonus at the end. Everybody's happy. So if you're really looking for a pay bump, check out a similar role at a competitor. And my guess is that you'd be surprised, even if you don't want to move. Now, listen, I think Doug, you and I have talked about this a little offline before. You can play this card one time. Hey, I wasn't looking, but I was approached by a recruiter. I played the game. Here's the offer from Ford. I'd rather stay at General Motors. You get to play that card one time, maybe once. Sometimes they go, no, you're right, you should take that job. So right. You can't even fib it. It has to be like a literal job offer that you are willing and ready to take. But you can use that info. You're going to burn a bridge either way.
Because if it's 100%. If it's a real offer from Ford and you get the raise you were looking for at GM, you don't get to go back to Ford anytime in the next decade and look for a job again.
Yeah.
Well, there's another piece I read from a recruiter, I believe it was in the Wall Street Journal, was talking about the other problem is that you're also, even when you stay at the job with the new raise, you now became the least trusted person in your department.
100%. Yeah, you're the first to go if there's a job elimination coming or something like that. So very touchy subject.
And more often than not, data will show that person that you paid to stay is going to leave anyways, probably in the next 3 years.
And what's funny is we're saying it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Just beware the consequences.
Yeah, right. Sure.
No, it is. I mean, we have perfect. I know you guys know people, Doug. It probably happened to you in your career and people that know working in your industry. I know it happened to my wife and her business, like in her consulting business. I mean, just simply moving laterally from one company to another was such a huge increase in comp. She ended up going back to her other company, kind of not hat in hand, but just like, hey, this is really not what I thought it would be. And after the fact, her former boss, who then became her new boss again, said, by the way, did you just leave because of the money? Because we would have just paid you the money if you would have asked. And it was probably a 30% increase in comp, just a lateral move. And then when she came back, she got that pay and plus some, it was like a 2-year cycle of these gigantic pay increases by moving laterally between two companies. So
wonder you can get Jersey Mike's on DoorDash.
Yeah. Well, she's been retired since 2016. So it's all on credit card. It's better. It's on DoorDash plus interest. 29.99. Repeating, of course, %.
I did not see this answer, by the way. The answer that we just gave about driving DoorDash on this forum. So our stackers should be happy. We were able, I think, to give them a much better answer. I was like, I think we can do this better. Wait, I'm not going to type on another forum. I'll just keep our stackers that trust us, give them the better answer. Here's another one from somebody else's forum, which is this person said, Ally CD rates have dropped. Is everyone seeing this across the board with other banks? And I was about to jump in again and go, okay, this is a thing. And I thought, nope. Let's take this to our podcast. So, OG, when you hear Ally's CD rates have dropped, first thought that enters OG's brain?
The first thought is, why would you care and have a CD? That's honestly my first thought.
Yeah. That is number one. Why the hell do you have a CD?
I mean, the reasons are because you believe interest rates to decline in the future and you can lock in a higher rate today. But the disparity between the higher rate today and current rates today are not great enough to offset the liquidity factor of having their money today. So let's head over to depositaccounts.com and look at their 1-year CD rate that's as of today, and top 1%, 5.52%. You can get a money market rate at, in your Schwab account for 5.3, 5.4 right now. To me, that extra 0.1% is so insignificant versus the fact that I have to lock my money up for a year to get that 5.52. That's not a good trade in my book. And now here's what could happen. Interest rates could crater over the next year, and more so it would be impactful if it happened immediately, where I could have locked in a year's worth of interest at 5.52, but now interest rates are 3.32. And you go, oh, geez, you could have had that extra 2%. But I challenge you to do the math on how much money you're actually putting in there. Unless you're talking about $100,000, $200,000 worth of CD money, it's not really a lot. If you're going, well, this is $10,000. I mean, $200 is not zero, but it's not a lot. You know what I mean? And then you're locking the money up for an entire year. So honestly, I'd find a great money market account or a great high yield savings account and enjoy the liquidity on that.
That is, yeah, I think if you begin with the end in mind, if you start off with your goal, you're very rarely going to choose a CD. I still don't know. Don't get me wrong, OG. You just pointed out a place where it might fit. 3 years ago, you and I would have been hard pressed to even place any CDs, just not competitive, not a competitive product. There's a second thing. Let's talk about Ally savings rates coming down, Ally rates on CDs coming down. And the implication here, whenever I read these online, is that, Ally's getting cheap. That's not what's happening, OG, at all. I mean, the fact that, I don't know, it's 2024. We always have a new crop of investors. I thought we'd explain that that's not what's going on. When Ally lowers their rate on CDs, you're not going to go over to American Express and their rate's going up on CDs at the same time, unless it's some type of a teaser rate. I mean,
generally not.
Yeah, these people all are at the same well. So if Ally's going down, Amex is going down, Capital One is going down, Navy Federal Credit Union is going down, all of the CD rate, all companies are lowering the rates of their CDs together. If they're not doing it today, they've considered it and they're holding their own, but they're certainly not going up with rates. So this is more a sign of the time. I think, OG, what people have to do is, if you're with Ally, the bigger question is, Ally rates went down. Are they still one of the, and maybe this is what this person was implying. Are they still one of the top places to go get a CD? Because generally the top places remain the top places for long periods of time. I'd rather pick a spot that's competitive and stay there than worry about whether my CD is going down. That said, is laddering CDs coming back?
I mean, it's the same thing as before, right? It's the same issue. To ladder it out means that either you have to accept a lower rate on a shorter time period today to build it out from day one, or you have to have the capital to do this over the course of a long period of time. And the difference between 5.4 and 5.5 just doesn't really excite me. And what if the rates go up? We haven't even talked about that. And you get an immediate response in your savings account, generally speaking, or an immediate response in your money market fund. But now you've got a year-long CD to, that's at that lower rate. So that could be even worse. I just don't see the benefit of the added complexity of laddering CDs when the yield curve, this is the term, the yield curve is very flat. There's no profound difference between a 6-month rate, a year rate, an 18-month and 2-year rate. It's like, you have to go out way far to see better rates. And then you're locking your money up for a significantly longer period of time, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, which no one would do for cash.
We'll get back to your questions next week, back on the show. If you've got a question for us, StackyBenjamins.com/voicemail. I thought these were just two pretty important things, concepts. One goes down, they all go down. Begin with the end in mind. You don't have to worry about CD rates. And driving for DoorDash, there's a bunch of hidden math that you should probably do before you even decide to make that move. Could be good for a short amount of time, but realize you're not playing on your turf. You're playing on somebody else's.